Morning everybody, so new review for you guys there talking about the 5th and supposedly final Rambo film, Rambo Last Blood. So it's been about 11 years since the last Rambo film. Since then, John Rambo is living on his family's ranch, taking care of his niece, and his niece gets kidnapped by the Mexican cartel, sold into sex slavery, so now John Rambo has to go down to Mexico and get his niece back. In a way, it's almost a natural evolution that John Rambo has gone from fighting like local cops to the Viet Cong to Russians to the people in the jungle and Rambo. Now he's fighting a Mexican cartel. You know, I guess the next thing is AARP, since Sylvester Stallone's 73 years old. I mean, the guy, he looks phenomenal for his age. I can't deny that Sylvester Stallone is still in some pretty good shape for being 73 years old. But I love the character of Rambo, so I kind of just overlook that kind of stuff because I just think his movies are so much fun. So I'm always down to see more adventures with Rambo or Rocky Balboa as well, because he's revived that character through the Creed films. So why not throw out another Rambo film? Going into these Rambo films, I don't think we're going in expecting this very over-the-top plot anymore. It's very grounded. It's a very stereotypical revenge thriller. We've seen it in the action genre so many times, but I think in Last Blood it's pulled off well enough to actually make for a really entertaining film for the most part. For most of its runtime, it's actually more of a drama than a straight-up action film because it mostly involves Rambo looking for his niece, it kind of bothers me that his niece looks a fair amount like Ariana Grande. Maybe that's just me, but they have a very similar structure as far as like old school Ariana Grande, not like the new looking Ariana Grande. But nevertheless, the supporting characters, including the niece, they're not really fleshed out too much, not given too much to do. The main focus, obviously, is on John Rambo, which is a good thing because in these movies, that's the character we care about the most. Sylvester Stallone, once again, does a really great job in the role of John Rambo, playing the character, being this stoic badass. And even though Rambo's getting up there in age, he's still just kicking a whole bunch of ass. Like I said, he's 73 years old, and he's still brutalizing people. This film is rated R, and it goes for that hard R. It is super violent, especially in the last third of the film, the last act, where he's running around this booby-trapped cave. It's almost like John Rambo watched Home Alone a bunch of times, copied Kevin McAllister with some of the booby traps in the cave, and the way that they just murder people. And he's like pulling off Mortal Kombat fatalities and ripping out people's hearts, and it's insanity. It's a fun time if you're into that, into that style of action movie, because the last Rambo is really violent as well. And I don't think it's as violent as Rambo, but I think they toned it down a little bit. I don't know if it was maybe due to budget, because sometimes the CGI was a little bit wonky, so you could tell that maybe the budget was a little bit smaller for this compared to the previous entries. Like I was saying before, the supporting cast are very underdeveloped. Same goes for the Mexican cartel that's the main antagonist of the film. They don't really give too much of information about them. You don't get a full-on backstory. You kind of just know that they're the bad guys and this is their name. They do bad things because they just do. It's one of those kind of movies. It's very typical cliche, like 80s action movie villains kind of stuff. But, they're serviceable in the role that they're given, and they're definitely just kind of there for Rambo to just mow them all down in the last act. Fortunately, the film is paced fairly well. The first act is a little bit clunky as far as it's set up, but once it gets going, it keeps you interested. It's only a little over 90 minutes long, so it doesn't really waste too much time in its execution, and it gets almost right into the action right after that little clunky first start. And maybe it was just me, but for most of the runtime, it really didn't feel like it was the last film in the Rambo franchise. It didn't feel like this is a definitive end. This is the last Rambo movie we'll see. And even leaving the theater, I wasn't too sure if this is really going to be the end. I guess maybe the box office will tell, because Sylvester Stallone is keeping both the Rambo franchise and Rocky Balboa going in some form. Obviously, he's kind of passed the torch a little bit with Rocky Balboa because he's a supporting character in the Creed films. But who knows? I really think it'll be one of those box office decisions. If it does really build the box office, they'll find a way to make another Rambo film, or there'll be a sequel, reboot, spin-off. Who knows? But overall, I think that Rambo Last Blood is a serviceable entry in the long-running Rambo franchise. It doesn't break the mold of the action film genre. It's a pretty standard revenge thriller, but you can definitely get some fun out of it, especially if you're a huge fan of the John Rambo character. If you're going to these films, I'm sure you're going in expecting John Rambo to just mow down a bunch of people, and you will be satisfied if that's what you're going in for. If you're expecting too much else, I think you'll leave somewhat disappointed. But now that you've heard my thoughts on Rambo Last Blood, make sure you leave a comment in the comment section down below. What did you think of the film when you see it? It's out now. Did you like it? Did you not like it? And also, where would you rank this in the the long-running Rambo franchise? Because you got First Blood, Rambo First Blood Part 2, Rambo 3, and Rambo, and now you got Rambo Last Blood. How would you rank them? Even if you haven't seen Rambo Last Blood, how would you rank them without it? because I'm just curious where you would rank it among so many of these films in this franchise, because every one of them has been fun to some degree. I just don't know how I would rank them, and I'd like to know. This is a discussion in the comments, because I'm sure everybody's ranking's different. You know, I like to talk about all things movies here. As always, thank you so much for checking out my review for Rambo Last Blood. If you liked it, make sure you give it a like. Hit that subscribe button if you want to keep up with my movie reviews, trailer reactions, unboxings, and more. But until the next time, I'll see you guys later.